Please take your seats. At this time, we are having our first city council meeting for the month of August. I would ask everyone to please rise for the invocation by Mr. Garidi and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Garidi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to say a quick prayer from St. Francis of Assisi. It says the following. It's also I'm going to translate it into make them more wholesome. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. That where there is hatred, we bring love. That where there is wrong, we bring the spirit of forgiveness. That where there is discord, we may bring harmony. That where there is error, we may bring truth. That where there is doubt, we may bring faith. That where there is despair, we may bring hope. That where there is shadows, we may bring light. That where there is sadness, we may bring joy. Lord, grant that we seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For this, by forgetting that one finds, it is by forgiving that one is forgiven. It is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome. Mr. Hanlon, please note that all city council members are present, along with our controller and our solicitor. At this time, we will have courtesy of the floor, where an individual come up and had 3 minutes. If you're representing an association or a group, you have 5 minutes. So we'll open up the courtesy of the floor. Mr. Hirschman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope I'm not the first and only one.
No, we need your name and address for the record.
405 North Fillmore Street, Allentown, Pennsylvania. You know, I'm here for my last 6 or 7 years, I've been asked for this 5-year financial plan. And who's acting mayor today?
Who is representing the administration? It's a Mr. Messenger? Mr. Messenger is representing the administration.
Mr. Messenger, the mayor has a 5-year financial plan the way we're told. Can you ask him why he doesn't want to release it?
I will make sure that's brought to his attention.
Well, we have a city law that says the mayor is supposed to present annually. And since he's been mayor, I don't know how annually means to him. Annually means once a year. He hasn't done it yet. Now I understand we've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for this financial plan since 2006, and we haven't seen one yet. Is he hiding something? We have to find out if he's hiding something. There must be something in the plan he doesn't want the public to know, or we released it. Because we have a mayor, when something goes good, he releases it. And we gotta find out why he's not releasing it. And Mr. Chairman, you said you're gonna appoint an investment committee to review a city investments. Have you done that yet?
No, I have not. We are looking at that. Yes.
I think it's very important, because there's no accountability going on with these investments. One person is in charge of all the investment, Mr. Hartzell.
Mr. Hartzell.
And I think somebody should, when I was on city council and I was the controller.
Oversight.
We had oversight on.
How many members, when you had your investment committee, you had 5 members?
5 members, and they met, and we provided city council with the minutes of the meeting. But there's nobody watching for how all we invested.
Yeah.
I think it's very important, Mr.
So I
President.
want to go back to your 5-year financial plan. We have, as a group, have asked Mr. Hanlon to check with the mayor on that 5-year financial plan. Is that true, Mr. Hanlon?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Hanlon said he will be reviewing that and sending that to council very shortly.
And one more thing. You know, the city of Allentown, years ago, condemned the properties up on Hamlin Street and A Street for the NIZ zone. And I've been trying to find out who paid for the properties that we purchased when we condemned them. And we bought the properties from the people, and then we sold them. If we sold them, how much money did we receive after we sold our properties to Center City? So our city center, the other people. I think we have to find out where the money is. If we bought them, what was the cost? And if we sold them, how much did we receive? I think right now, next year is gonna be a tough budget year. all revenue that you can find is very important to Cedar Health, and I think somebody should look into the cost of those properties we bought on Hamlin Street and 8th Street and 7th Street, and how much money we received. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Messenger, write that question down too. We need an answer. Get that to Mr. Hamlin, we'll get that back to Council and Mr. Hirschman. Anyone else, Curtis? Curtis, the floor. Come on up, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you.
Just your name and address for the record.
Margarita Hausler, 1406 Hamilton Street, and I'm here tonight both as a private citizen and also as a representative of the West Park Civic Association.
Okay, thank you.
So we had a meeting last night, and we thought it would be appropriate, given that we're coming up on setting budgets for next year, that we wanted to bring to council's attention that we would truly like to see more attention focused on quality of life issues, both for our neighborhood in particular, but for the city at large. And in particular, we have 4 areas that we thought could be looked at as potentially an area where we'd like to see some increased funding. One is, to the extent possible, increased bicycle patrols. We have a very close working relationship with the police department. We meet with them every month, and what we've noticed is to the extent we are starting to see bicycle patrols, they are really improving conditions in the neighborhood and, increasing the quality of life because it prevents loud, just simple things as loud music, people transferring through the park, and also just a sense of security. 2, we would like to see increased resources dedicated to the SWEEP program. The SWEEP program, everybody who's used it has found it to be very effective at dealing with issues of trash and bad conditions, but we understand there's only 3 SWEEP officers for the entire city, and we would strongly suggest and recommend that this is one area with a small investment, we could see a great return in the quality of life. The 3rd is litter, just general litter removal. We're lucky to have a couple of residents that on a regular basis walk our neighborhood and pick up litter. But if we could get some additional city resources, it would be great. We understand that we used to have the clean and green or green and clean team patrolling, but now that their patrol's been more limited to more of the downtown and center city area up to 12th Street. And then I'll just add, really anything and everything that can be done to control, monitor absentee landlords and the conditions of properties and the living conditions in some of those. Within our neighborhood, we try to be fairly proactive at addressing issues, but we certainly have properties that are in disrepair and are clearly absentee landlords, and also where the occupancy rates are very high and probably could use some additional health inspections and control. So I thank you for your attention.
We thank you for coming. The West Park Association, very
West Park
active
Civic
association, yes, very active.
Yes, so we try to be very active
No.
and try to improve. Again,
Yeah.
it's the quality of life that we're really trying to attract new residents to the area, and owner-occupied residents, and we see a lot of improvement, do a lot of activities, working closely with a lot of different city agencies, the Allentown School District to improve our relationship with the William Allen High School. So we would like to hopefully get some additional resources that would improve some of the quality of life issues.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, Evie. Name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Evie Baylog, and I live at 1522.5 Chew Street, and I'm here on behalf of myself as well as the West Park Civic Association. And I would like to echo Margarita's comments about the SWEEP, because that can be very effective, and we would very much like to have that as an improvement for our quality of life. The other thing is in terms of the increased monitoring of rental properties, landlord licensing, as well as building inspections, because some of what we observe, and I particularly observe, is in our area that several of the properties which have been owner occupied, when they come up for sale, they're purchased by people who are not occupying them, and are those being followed up in terms of being registered for rentals and all the attendant other issues around that. And finally, I would also like to say that part of the quality of our life is also the condition of our streets. And I've noticed that several streets that I travel frequently have really seriously deteriorated in terms of where they were paved not too long ago. They kept being opened, and when they fill them in, they're not leveled out. And blocks of Turner Street from like 10th to about 7th, which are really, have been attended to, but they keep getting worse. And on Chew Street, the 1300 and 1400 blocks are just really almost dangerous to drive on, so.
Yeah, I drive that almost every Sunday, but go ahead, I won't let you
So
finish.
those were some of the things that, as you're thinking about, you're gonna be entering into, planning and budgeting, so just you're bringing some items to the fore so that, to see if they can be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Garidi, you had a comment about our last city council meeting about the streets, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
If you want to maybe say something briefly about that?
Well, I agree with you, Ibi, and I've been driving through it, and I know that some of them are being, it's because the UGI is working there and changing some of the pipes and things, but some of them are not. And I think we're looking at, and I brought this up to the attention of full council, that, I've been in council for 15, almost 16 years, and I think this is the worst I've ever seen our city streets. Not counting the alleyways, just the city streets. And I think we've done a pretty good job at one point, fixing the alleyways, but the city streets need support. And I brought this to the attention of the public works director. And I hope we continue to work on that. And you're right, you're absolutely right. Sometimes they pave them back and they put a blacktop on and they're just bumpy. They don't do it right, and there's no reason for that. There's no reason for that. They should take care of them and do it right. And then, so it's something that is on the works, I think. And I think they're gonna continue doing a good job, and I hope that, I know that, for example, they're working on Tillman Street and up to 10th Street. They've done a great job up to 10th, and they're gonna work on that this year, right? And so they're gonna fix that, at least Tillman Street. But the rest of them, we need help.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Africa, then.
Thank you, Mr. President. In defense of our city workers, and I think Mr. Messenger can probably explain better than anybody what the status and what the problem is and how it's going to be fixed. Do you mind, Mr. President?
As far as the Chew Street, it is UGI in there right now, and they are replacing their main and services. So that roadway will be restored and then paved this year yet. As far as Turner Street, I don't have the exact blocks with me, but I know there's 2 or 3 blocks that are scheduled for next year, actually for Turner Street, and I believe it's in that area. As far as the paving goes, you see a lot of work going on right now because of all of the cast iron UGI pipes that are actually being replaced and all the services. So while you haven't seen that in the past, is because previously they were only replacing a couple miles a year. Now they're hitting maybe 10, 14, 15 miles a year. So obviously you are going to see more of those roads like that at this point in time. But as we did do a couple years ago, we made it a requirement that when they are done with their work there, the trenches are settled, they are to go back, base repair, mill and overlay the streets. So the essence of, yes, it's a little bumpy right now, but the final repair, I assure you, will be a smooth street.
May I, Mr.
Go ahead, Mr. Brady.
And that's a great point, Mr. Messenger. I think the issue is that when they come back and fill them up to cover the holes after they put the pipe, they should do it a little bit better. And we gotta be on top of them, because it looks like they just pour the blacktop on it. And it doesn't really matter. And sometimes it is dangerous, because you see this big bump and you don't even want to go over it, so you want to tend, because there's two lanes, so you want to tend to the right, and there may be a car next to you, and it's just really dangerous. They should do a little bit better, because they have those big cylinders, so they can, they can do it better, really.
I agree, and I will be checking with them to make sure that there are, by ordinance, supposed to be checking those weekly, but understand that those trenches do actually go down. So it's the compaction, they'll fill it up and then it will go down. They have to weekly, though, they're supposed to be going back and restoring it. But there is a time frame at minimum of 30 days before they can do it. And most times, depending on the depth, sometimes it's 90 days before they can do it. So it's an unfortunate thing that goes on, and it is a battle for them to continue to go back and try to get it as best as possible. But I agree, they could be doing a better job, and we will be speaking with them.
That's what we're asking. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else going to the floor? Welcome, Mr. Kaminsky. How are you, sir? Name and address for the record.
Oh, fantastic there, Councilperson O'Connell. Mike Kaminsky, 779 Benton Street. I've been reading a lot lately, whether it's the reporting done by the Morning Call and blogs. It's just been reporting about, additional possible pay to play and additional non-oversight of, our tax dollars in the city. And I've been away from meetings for, a couple of weeks now. And I've just been thinking, well, what can we do that can get this city back on the right track? Not small things like when you guys approved the contract situation, but let's think big picture. And what I've come up with is, we've had the strong mayor form of government since 1970 in the city. And it's no coincidence that the city has been on a decline since 1970. So, the question is that totally coincidental, or is that because we have too much power concentrated in one area? So my solution that I would ask respectfully that all of the members of council investigate tonight is that we switch the city charter and we make a change from a strong mayor form of government to a council manager form of government. And the highlights of that are, and I'm borrowing this from Georgetown, Texas's website, who uses this form of government. The form establishes a representative system where all the power is concentrated in the elected council, and where the council hires a professionally trained manager to oversee the delivery of the public services. Council members are the leaders and the policymakers elected to represent various segments of the community and to concentrate on policy issues that are representative to citizens' needs and wishes. The manager is appointed by council to carry out policy and ensure that the entire community is being served. If the manager is not responsive to the council's wishes, the council has authority to terminate the manager at any time. In that sense, a manager's responsiveness is tested daily. The managing director will prepare a budget that you guys then consider. It's found that local governments have seen overall costs decreased by implementing this form of government. Mayors still serve a role in this form of government. They're key political leaders and policy developers. In the case of council, the mayor is responsible for soliciting citizen views, informing these policies, and interpreting them to the public. The mayor would preside at a council meeting, serve as a spokesperson for the community, facilitate communication and understanding between elected and appointed officials, assist the council in setting goals and advocating policy decisions, and serve as a promoter and a defender of our community. Is this just for little podunk towns? No. It is used in 199 cities. I'm sorry, out of 199 cities with a population of greater than 100,000 people, 112 people use this form of government, or 112 cities use this form of government. Such cities as Phoenix, San Diego, Dallas, Cincinnati, San Antonio, and Kansas City use this form of government. And my time is up, so I respectfully ask. I think that my point is crossed. All right, because professional local government management offers government of the people, by the people, and for the people, it sets the stage for citizen activism by encouraging open communications between citizens and their government. Because political power is concentrated in the entire governing body rather than one elected official, more citizens have an opportunity to be elected to a position in which they have significant influence over the future of the community. It is my opinion that the time has come in the city of Allentown and that we need to amend our charter and put the power back in the people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Very well said. Mr. Pearson, welcome, sir. Name and address, please.
Dennis Pearson, 942 East Tillman Street. I'm directing my comments about the real reasons of the decline of the city. It started in the 1960s. It started with the old council system, mayor system of government, in which that was the start of the Allentown, Lehigh County wastewater sewage system. A request was made, it was honored, and therefore, as it expanded in the 1970s, you had a shift in the center of power in the Lehigh County. There was more things going out there rather than remaining in the city, and the city started to decline. Now, the certain problems that the city now faces is that with the strong mayor system, the strong mayor did take the advantage of trying to cause a renaissance in the city and then perhaps use excessive power. But it all started with the center of power leaving Allentown and going out west.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Mr. Legislator, name and address, please. Welcome.
Welcome, Ken Lonsdale, 721 West Cumberland Street. Back in March, I went and brought to this council's attention a request to open up Drexel Park for biking 7 days a week. So I could take my grandkids biking when I have them on Fridays. Hoping that, well, if I do it in March, by the time summer comes around, this will be done. I mean, we all know the bureaucracy moves slow. 3 weeks ago at a committee meeting, when that section of the ordinance was being revised for other reasons, would have been the perfect time to go and revise it for the restriction. It was not done at that time. However, I was told by Ms. Moda that there would be a meeting by the end of the month. The end of the month has come and gone. Even if we do resolution for next meeting, the summer's just about over. My grandkids only had a chance to ride in Drexel Park twice this whole summer. And they like riding there because I can give them a little bit of independence there. The wheels of bureaucracy moving slow. In this case, an inch more moves faster. And I feel that my request is being stonewalled until after the summer. And I would like a resolution to be drawn up and on the next meeting's agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Legislator. Ms. Moda, you want to reply?
Well, yes, we have a meeting on August 24th at 5 o'clock. Please, I wanted you to, show up and hopefully we can make a resolution on that day.
Okay, August 24th at 5.
At 5 o'clock, okay? And the reason behind it is, I know that you requested this, ahead of time, but the reality is we couldn't make a decision. More people should be aware that this is gonna be happening. We cannot make a decision just because of one person. Keep that in mind, and with all due respect, okay? So more people, we have to let more people know about this meeting. And that is the reason why it was, we decided to do it on this day.
Anything on the agenda, though the public can see, if this wasn't brought up a long time ago, more people could have attended and voiced their opinion back then.
Okay, and you're probably right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Dunsinger, welcome.
Glenn Hunsaker, 844 South 11th Street, Allentown. A few meetings ago, I asked the city council to basically when the controller is going to make a report this year on either a summary report on the audits that he's doing or not doing. Did we get a date for when that will happen? I think the public should know what he's working on, even if it's only a.
How about when we get to the controller's report that's addressed? Is that fair?
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah, tonight. Yeah, he has a report whether if it would be addressed or not addressed. I'll let you know. Mr. Hahn.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Name and address, please.
Tom Hahn, 2016 East Highland Street. I'd sent an email to Mike to make sure that everybody was aware of the questions I was asking. Did everybody on council receive that email?
When did you send that?
This afternoon.
I got it. Yeah, go ahead. You got it.
Okay, then if you would please, to save time, answer the questions in the email and I'll pick it up from there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. We all have that email, right? I think it was more than one question. I think there were several questions attached to that email. We'll get responses for you, Ms. Strong, but thank you for coming up. Anyone else? Mr. Trotner,
Thank you.
I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back.
It's a pleasure.
You're looking pretty good.
I'm feeling a lot better.
Your back okay?
It's getting there.
Good.
It's still fooling around the medication.
Go ahead, name and address for the record.
Robert Trotner, 1920 Whitehall Street, Allentown, 18104. And I'm here for the Let's Build a New Allentown Together, that organization. And I want to address three things. First of all, everything everybody said tonight was very good. We need infrastructure and quality of life are vital to the city. And I think it's important to make that a priority. And the things about the charter revision, I think, are definitely important, and hopefully we'll be talking about that in the near future. But I wanted to talk about two investigative articles, hugely important investigative articles this week by Bernie O'Hare and by Emily Apilo. Very important articles that should be addressed. First of all, the Bernie O'Hare says that there's a Michael, I'm having a mental block.
Walker.
Thank you. Michael Walker, who apparently Mayor Pulaski is considering for the position of managing director. My memory is affected.
It sounds like you're part of the script.
I know.
Was it planned?
Well, yes, right here, I have black hair, black hair.
Tell me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. So I mean, I guess council has the final say whether, I mean, there's no position of managing director in the charter, but council does have a say, they vote on the managing director, right? I hope council looks at the fact that this guy's credentials, being a senior legal advisor to Jacques Attah, not the kind of person we want in Allentown, and then the whole thing about his whole LinkedIn page, not the kind of thing we want in Allentown. I hope we can all agree that this would be a terrible mistake in the wake of the pay-to-play investigation. We can agree on that. So I don't want to be fooled again. I wanted to make mention of the fact that about Emily Apila's article, which is hugely important. $3.5 million to $3.8 million spent by Mayor Pulaski since he's come into office, directly being paid to law firms that are the subject of investigation in this pay-to-play racketeering investigation right now. So those three law firms, Mayor Pulaski, and I guess you told me tonight, Mayor Pulaski doesn't even have to tell you that he's hired an outside law firm. I believe that's correct. He just hires, whoops, I'll just take like 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
All right. He just hires, if he wants an outside counsel, he just, the solicitor, either with or without a consultation with Mayor Pulaski, will just hire an outside counsel, and we may not even know that he's been hired until the budget comes out, and even then we may not know. So that's the impression I have. It's like a real gray area, and Mayor Pulaski is using his solicitor office to reward his friends, his big donors who are under investigation. And if Mayor Pulaski isn't, if Mayor Pulaski's choices aren't being, for outside counsel aren't being run by city council, which I thought they were, they should be, and that should be something that's addressed in the charter, but at least I think city council should be on record as not supporting payment of any outside counsel that's under investigation by the FBI at this time. That should be just cut off, and I hope city council can agree on that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sorry I took so much time. I had 6 months to make up.
You want to ask Mr. Trotner a question?
Yes.
Mr. Trotner, go back to the podium. Dr. McGuire is going to ask you a question.
I don't usually go to Mr. O'Hare for substantive things, because mainly, although he's entertaining, he's sometimes right. On the other hand, I read the reporters of the Morning Call pretty closely because they work really hard at digging things out. He's fine. And so far, I haven't been privy to any information of important personnel changes in the city administration. But since you brought it up, you referred to a lawyer being considered. This lawyer used to work for a congressman from Philly, is that correct?
Fatah, the one
Be specific. Yes, okay. But lawyers sometimes say they're experts in patent law, real estate, etc. What is the background of this lawyer?
I wasn't clear from the article what the background was. He says he does everything. He says he sells real estate. He's on the.
Okay, I heard enough.
Okay.
I was concerned that he might have a criminal lawyer background.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
He does.
Well, he says he does. That's on his
Well,
LinkedIn
if you
page.
do everything at any time, I mean, as somebody once said, Eitz skipper, you know a little bit about an Eitz skipper, Yiddish thing that says advice giver.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you've got money, I've got advice. Okay, thank you for bringing this to our attention, for that kind of work.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm just concerned because it sounds like he's a somewhat of a crackpot.
Thank you, Mr. Stradner, and thank you, Dr. McGuire. Anyone
Mr.
else?
President, just-
Mr. McLean, go ahead.
Just real quick, Mr. Walker is currently the head of community services for children, which is run out of the old state hospital property on the east side of Allentown. That's what he's doing now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else courtesy of the floor? Seeing none, we will close courtesy of the floor. Approval of the minutes by common consent. So moved. Second. Any old business? Seeing none. Communications. No communications for this evening. We'll go right into reports from committees. All right, sir.
Would now be the proper time for that email or new business? Communication, but.
Well, communication is more or less communication with colleagues. And let's do it under new business.
Okay.
The one you talked about earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it under new business. Okay, Budget and Finance, Mr. Garidi, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Budget and Finance Committee met on July 27th. We discussed the finances for the month of May and June. It was an okay budget is doing fine. I mean, there are some things that we're looking into having in the black, like the golf course that have been in the red for a while. And other things that were discussed that basically moving the budgeting on. No major issues were identified at that time. There will be a future meeting scheduled for August 24th at 6:30 p.m. That meeting will have representation from the controllers interns. A presentation from the controllers interns. To review the monthly finances, to review the finance department's budget priorities, goals and objectives, successes and failures, capital projects, and any personnel or organization changes being considered for next year pursuant to council's rules. So that's my report, Mr. President. I have nothing on the agenda for tonight.
Thank you, sir. Community and Economic Development, Dr. McGuire.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee met on July 27th. The next meeting was scheduled for August 10th at 5:30 to review the budgets.
Well, no, you finish your report, then
Did we ask the question on the committee?
No.
No?
None of committee reports, no.
Well, how did I get to ask him a question?
His controller report is coming up soon.
Isn't that
On the agenda.
that's not a committee, okay.
No, it's not a committee, it's a separate entity, separate elected official. Dr. McGuire, sorry for that.
Okay, let's see, I was saying that we did meet on the 27th. We scheduled a meeting in the future for August the 10th, which within very recent times is going to be changed. We have to get that done.
Okay. Thank you.
But the purpose of that is to review the budget department's, the department budget, priorities, goals, and objectives, successes and failures, capital projects, and any personnel or organizational changes being considered by the department for next year. And all this is done pursuant to council rules to have such a meeting.
Thank you, sir. Human Resources Administration appointments, Ms. Appa.
There's been no meetings since our last council, and there's no future meetings.
Thank you very much. Parks and Recreation, Ms. Mota.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting. A meeting has been scheduled for August 17 at 6:30 p.m. to review 2 bills. And on August 24th at 5 p.m., we're gonna be taking a look at extending the biking days at Tressler Park and to review the department budget priorities, goals and objectives, successes and failures, capital projects, and any personnel or organizational changes being considered for next year pursuant to council rules. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Mota. Public Safety, Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee met this evening just prior to this meeting at 6:45, and at that time there were 2 bills, Bill 37 and 39, which will be presented to the full council for be voted on later this evening. There are no future meetings scheduled at this time.
Thank you, sir. Public Works, Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met earlier this evening also, and we have 2 bills recommended favorably to the full council, Bill number 41 and 43, which we'll be getting to on the agenda shortly.
Thank you, sir. Rules, Chambers, Intergovernmental Relations, Strategy. I'm the chair of that committee. The committee has not met since the last meeting. A future meeting has not yet been scheduled. From the council rules, and many of you said it, in August and September of each year, the standing committee shall conduct a public meeting where the administration shall review the budget priorities, goals, and objectives, successes and failures, capital projects, and any personal or organizational changes being considered for the ensuing school fiscal year. City Controller's Report, Mr. Glazier.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I think the last time I said that we have some audits coming out. The dental audit has been postponed for a week or 2 to allow the administration to properly respond to it. The February bank reconciliation has been posted. There were no issues in that. Some of the other things we've done, Mr. Hunsiker, most recently, and you must have been at the meeting, sir, we did the contract receivables audit, and these are available on the controller's website. Unfortunately, you have to ask for them. It is a goal of the controller's office that instead of asking for the audits, they be available for the taking. And I've been working with Mr. Liebert from IT to make that a reality, to make it a much more user-friendly experience, so that the information will flow much more freely, not only to members of the council, but to the public as well. I don't know when that'll come to fruition, but it's something that I'm deeply concerned about, and as I said, I'm working on it with Mr. Liebert.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully the dental audit will be out, by the end of next week, and that's reviewing the dental insurance.
And maybe you could have a meeting off the record or off the meeting with Mr. Hunsinger, because
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
And
would you stick around afterwards, Mr. Hunsinger?
Also, as Mr. Reedy mentioned, the interns will be reporting out on the 24th, and these 2 young ladies are working very hard. They worked on liquid fuels, and they've worked on daycare permits, and they've gotten a tremendous amount of support from the administration, from Mr. Messinger and Mr. Kistler, and I think the report will be informative as always.
All right, thank you. And again, if you could meet with Mr. Hunsinger after the meeting, that would help ease some people's minds. Appointments, we have no appointments for this evening. Ordinances for final passage, Mr. Hanlon, Bill 36.
Bill 36 amends the health budget to provide for supplemental appropriation of $15,450.60 as a result of funds from the Pennsylvania Department of Health for the purchase of supplies for the Childhood Injury Prevention Program and the Nutrition and Physical Activity Program. The funds were used to purchase additional safety items, car seats, bike helmets, for community garden signage, and advertising and program materials for the Million Hearts Initiative.
Okay, thank you, sir. Dr. McGuire, that was in your CEDC committee, and you want to review that with us? Mr. Kistler is here.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, please.
Basically, it's simply the purchase of additional It's the purchase of additional safety items as delineated out as part of our current injury prevention and nutrition and physical activity program.
Thank you, Ms. Chrysler. And then that was, and the committee was passed favorably 3-0. Any questions of Ms. Chrysler from council colleagues? Seeing none, any questions of Bill 36 from the public? And let's go into our voting mode with the iPads, so we know, I'll show everybody how tech savvy we are. And Gerald's coming up to help us all. Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm going. We are voting on Bill 36. You guys all ready to go? Jill, come on.
Finally, I'm ready.
Pretty bad is when it's taking long to vote and have to explain the rules. Yeah, there you go.
This is working. Yeah, about time.
All right, I'm voting. Once you get them all, you let us know.
Thank you.
Did you vote?
Oh, you're waiting for me.
Mr. Hamlin, read the results?
Mr. President, we have 7 yeas and no nays.
Oh, wow, okay, that's a surprise. Wow.
Thank you.
Bill, let's go to Bill 37.
Bill 37 amends the 2006 general fund budget to provide for supplemental appropriation of $13,789.79 as a result of a grant from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for the fire department for training equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. That was in your committee this evening.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This additional funds will help with training for the fire department. Some of it is entry type training in entering doors, opening doors forcefully, and also with the recent surge we've had in building here in the city for the training facility out at Lehigh and Volpe Streets for training on the fire tower there and how to perhaps what may be needed is rescuing somebody that would be stranded, maybe a window washer or something similar.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from my colleagues? Questions from the public on Bill 37? Seeing none, we will vote.
Mr. President, I have 7 yeas and no nays.
Okay, thank you very much. Bill 38.
Bill 38. Bill 38 amends the health budget again to provide for supplemental appropriation of $48,700 as a result of a grant from Highmark to support the Health Bureau in establishing a quality improvement and quality insurance plan to better serve the community and to meet the requirements for public health accreditation.
Thank you, sir. Dr. McGuire, that was in your CEDC committee?
Yes, could the health department comment on that, please?
Yes, this is the funding that we spoke about before that will allow us to put the staff through a training program, and we'll design a community response and a community input forum that will also help with strategic planning, a community health improvement plan, and will position us favorably toward public health accreditation.
Thank you, Ms. Chrysler. And that was a 3-0 vote favorably in the entire council this evening. Any questions from my colleagues? Any questions from the public? We will vote on Bill 38.
President, I have 7 yeas and no nays again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kistler, very much. We will go on to Bill 39.
Bill 39 amends the general fund budget to provide for supplemental appropriation of $62,459, reflecting the Department of Justice grant for the Allentown Police Department and Lehigh County Regional Crime Center. The funds will be used to purchase a simulator for training dealing with force scenarios.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hendricks, that was in your committee earlier this evening.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This training equipment, this piece of equipment will allow almost a 3D type screen of which officers are placed in situations in various scenarios where they must decide whether to, it's similar to a shoot, don't shoot, but how this is expanded also to use non-lethal force. And it'll place them in those situations, utilized for training of all purposes for new recruits as well as current officers on an annual basis.
Thank you, sir. Comments, questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, Ms. McLean, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. O'Connell, as I said in the committee meeting, I'm fully in favor of this training for our police officers, but I will abstain only because my office will be the recipient of some of this grant also.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments from the public? Mr. Hanlon, we will vote on Bill 39.
Mr. President, I have 6 yeas and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much. Bill 40.
Bill 40. Bill 40 amends the community and economic development fees by changing the fees for zoning and license application fees and deleting the weed cutting notification and making them more user-friendly and recouping some of the costs.
Okay, thank you. Dr. McGuire, that was in your CEDC committee last week?
Yeah, the committee recommended favorably that we needed an amendment to make the date effective of September 6th. And perhaps Ms. Calori could tell us why, et cetera.
Sure, so we looked at the fees for zoning and building permits, and it was time to kind of look comprehensively at all of the fees. The driving force behind this, however, was that our electrical fees have been pretty complicated over the last few years. So we are making the electrical fees less complicated. They're no longer going to be based on determining amp and outlet count, but instead based upon cost of project, which is how most municipalities calculate fees. And so overall, we looked at comparisons with other municipalities as well as feedback from customers, and we cleaned up some duplications and some omissions and changed some of the fees in minor ways just to be a little bit more consistent across the board. We are asking that these fees are implemented not 10 days from now, but instead on September 6th. If you look at the number of changes we made to the ordinance, there's several changes that then need to be made behind the scenes in our Eden system. We've been working with IT over the past couple of months to prepare to make these changes relatively quickly, but I think it makes more sense to give us about 4 weeks to make sure the system's ready to go live, and so that's why we're requesting the September 6th date.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Dr. McGuire.
I think that's it for me.
Okay, okay. So we have a motion to make, join motion for the amendment to make this effective date of September 6th.
By common consent?
Let me get a second first.
I'll second it.
Okay, now by common consent. Okay, fine. Okay, now we'll talk about the entire bill, which Shannon did. Thank you, Dr. McGuire did. Any comments about the entire bill from my colleagues? Any comments from the public about Bill 40, entire bill? Seeing none, we'll vote on Bill 40.
Mr. President, I have 7 yeas and no nays.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shannon. Have a good evening. We'll go to Bill 41.
Bill 41 amends Article 507, the traffic control maps of the codified ordinance of the city of Allentown by making some temporary regulations permanent.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McLean, in your Public Works meeting this evening.
I was in our Public Works meeting, and I was late on our first vote on our first bill tonight because I was trying to count some of the changes, and I got to 345 when the first vote came, and I wasn't going back. So, Mr. Messinger, please, this is just clearing up a lot of things that haven't been done, right?
Yes, this is basically just making sure that all the items with the signs that were put in for no parking or for handicapped parking are actually put on our traffic control map.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any comments from my colleagues? Any comments from the public on Bill 41? We will vote on Bill 41.
Mr. President, I have 7 yeas and no nays.
Thank you very much. Bill 43.
Bill 43. Bill 43 is ending the street cleaning, Article 539 by adding 5309.07 exceptions, which shall not apply to vehicles of the city of Allentown.
Thank you, sir. This was in Public Works. Mr. McLean, you committee this evening?
Yes, and again, it was sent to full council favorably.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments from my colleagues? Questions, comments from the public on Bill 43? We will vote on Bill 43.
President, I have 7 yeas and no nays.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Craig. Have a good evening. Resolutions for final passage, and this is to be voted on this evening, R137. Mr. Hanlon, I ask if you read the entire resolution, read the entire thing, not just a brief synopsis.
Okay, whereas the city of Allentown recognizes that student safety is a primary concern for student attendance and education, whereas the city of Allentown recognizes that many Allentown school district students walk to school crossing busy city streets, whereas the city of Allentown believes the use of crossing guards will promote the safety of Allentown school district students, whereas the city of Allentown is contracting with all city management services for the provision of crossing guards. Now therefore be it resolved that the city administration is requesting to engage the officials of the Allentown School District to enter into a memorandum of understanding for the Allentown School District to share half the cost of crossing guards in the city of Allentown.
Thank you, sir. I just want to state that the school district has been extremely cooperative in this endeavor. I was at a meeting last September, October, and we had some dialogue. It got a little rough in the beginning, but we ended up with some good dialogue. And the school district was very generous in for the 2015-16 school year to give us as a city $100,000. It was just approved, I believe, last week that for the 2016-2017 school year, they will up that to $150,000. And if you remember, our cost for the crossing guards to contract out was about $420,000, so half of that would be $210,000. So they are very quickly approaching, and hopefully they'll approach in the future, the 50-50 ratio. And we do appreciate what the school district is doing for us, school board members and administration. Comments from my colleagues? Seeing none. Comments from the public? Seeing none, we will vote on R137.
Mr. President, I have 7 yeas and no nays.
Thank you very much. Ordinance for introduction, Bill 44.
R44 provides for supplemental appropriation of $206,250 as a result of the increased amount due to the city for the Trexler maintenance grant as designated by the court order of General Trexler's will.
Thank you, sir. Comments from my colleagues about Bill 44? Comment from the public on Bill 44? Seeing none, Ms. Mona, that will go to your Parks and Recreation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Bill 45, Mr. Hanlon, Bill 45.
Bill 45 amends Article 734 weapons by adding Section 73405, failure to report lost or stolen firearms, requiring the reporting of lost or stolen guns and establishing penalties for such violation under Section 734.99.
Okay, thank you, sir. Comments from my colleagues about Bill 45?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. McLean, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that we have an opinion from our solicitor as well as from the district attorney.
Well, we were
that
going
this
to
should not be done, but what you asked.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
And I just think it's a waste of our time to even be looking at this again. This is regulated by the state, but we'll spend the time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McLean. Any comments from the public on Bill 45? Then, yes, sir, come on up. Welcome. Name and address?
Eric Sherman, 1324 South 12th Street.
What city?
Allentown.
Okay.
Basically, I just want to reiterate what he said. This is governed by the state, and the city should not be enforcing it themselves.
Okay. Gotcha, sir. And we invite you here for the committee meeting when that goes to committee. And you've been here in the past, and we're always welcome to see you. Mr. Trotter?
Robert Trotner, 1920 Whitehall Street in Allentown. And I'll try to be a little more clear this time. As I understand it, the state law by the state Supreme Court is that, I withdraw my thing. This was, I was thinking about something else.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Steiner. Any other comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, we will refer Bill 45 to Public Safety, Mr. Hendricks. That'll come under your jurisdiction, Bill 45.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're very welcome. Resolutions for introduction, we have no resolution for introduction. New business, Mr. McLean, new business.
Yes. I received an email this evening, or late this afternoon, I just saw it this evening, which I forwarded to all of the city council. Actually, I forwarded it to Mr. Hamlin, I forwarded it to all of city council, regarding a property at the I get the exact address, 1037 and 1039 North Quebec Street. And as all of city council can see, unfortunately, the people in the council chambers cannot see it. But there are some pictures. The property is in pretty much disrepair, and they've been complaining about it for several years now. And I'd like that we could get the code or building standards over there to look at this. There's actually a tree growing through one of those. Kids they're concerned with kids, and I went over there to see it, and kids can get in it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McLean. Mr. Messenger, please make a note to get on that tomorrow with code enforcement. Yeah, Ms. Apple, go ahead. Absolutely.
I'm on the blighted property, and ironically, we have a meeting next Thursday. So I will address this and ask if we can possibly do something about the property. So next Thursday, I will address this.
Thank you, Ms. Apple. That was great. Any other, anything else for new business? Anything for good and welfare?
May I just say
Oh, Mr. Green, go ahead.
Only good and welfare. Just to let you know that there was a very nice event this past weekend, Saturday, and it was a American Buick Classic, and that was held at the old Boulevard, I think it was called Boulevard Drive Theater property. As you know, Mr. Bugari has warehouses, and you know, like I'm sure some of you probably have not had an opportunity to go there, and I went over, and it's very well developed. It looks real nice. Brought a lot of people to the city, and Mr. Bugari was there himself, and he just brought so many people to our city, and that property has been developed. I remember going to the theater, going to the drive-in way back in the days, and it was pretty much abandoned for a while, and now it's really, really nice. It's a beautiful, beautiful property, and he also has, Mr. Bugari has also supported the American on Wheels Museum, which I'm a board member of, and it's really something that I had an opportunity to briefly speak to him, and he's doing it for the city, and also for the children of Allentown. So that was just a side note that he was something really, really nice, and brought, I mean, thousands of people to the city, and they were all pretty much there. The rain came a little late, but we on Saturday, but the people who attended had a wonderful time and great event. So that's my speech.
Oh, well said. Yeah, Mr. Bulgari is a very generous man. I believe he paid the debt on the American on Wheels for about $600,000, and he kind of bailed him out of financial difficulties. But he's very generous man. Anything else for good and welfare? And seeing none, motion to adjourn?
Yes.
So moved by common consent. Have a good evening.